There's a sandwich, an engineering problem that will be solved at the end. So that's the bread. You have science in there with scientific inquiry, math. You can also think about it as a fancy recipe. So it has English language art, like reading and writing, and craft and creativity. But it starts actually with a problem. And the problem in this case is we have a highway that has been constructed. Here's our model of a highway. And this highway stretches over an area where previously animals have crossed freely. Now they can't cross anymore, right? There's a highway. Your job, you're being hired as an engineer, is to help build tunnels and fences that help the animal survive this highway that has been currently built. This is actually a real job out there. There's actually in Missouri and other places people who watch animals and make recommendations of the design. So here's our problem in a more visual way. This would be a moose crossing. The funny thing is if mooses cross, they will survive. You actually don't as a car. So actually the moose is much stronger. You see different technologies. Like here's a bridge over a highway that has a grass area. So that's one way of doing that. Or high-end bridges where cars drive and the animal world is not disturbed. And then you have fences and culverts or tunnels. So this actually starts with a little bit of a game where kids can learn about, third graders can learn about impact, how many animals are actually being impacted by that, what are different technologies. This is supplemental material used in science classrooms and math classrooms. Now, this is an engineering project. If you don't know, the next generation science standards in the United States has now engineering in the teaching of science. Your job is to help 2/3 of one kind of animal to safely cross and 1/3 of another type of all the other 3 animals that we have. That makes this project a successful project. In engineering, we call them criteria. Now, you don't have necessarily always unlimited resources, unlimited time. These are called constraints. So you can only use 5 culverts, 5 tunnels, because otherwise the highway would be a little bit unsafe. And you have a budget of $196,000 to make this project happen. So, in order to simulate how animals travel, we have different chips that represent different animals. And these chips, you can run through our animal simulator. So this would mean you set the chip up here and let it dance down this particular. When they make it through, if they don't make it, this one is just stopping to graze, so you can give it a kick. It's eating up. It might be that was just out of chip was flying, so you can give it another run. Up. And so they make it down there into this pocket, then we know they have crossed. This is 3rd grade. So in other grade levels, in higher grade levels, you could probably talk about probability and statistics and all of this stuff. So in order to start, like think about your job is to make fences and tunnels, right? This is the overall part, and you've got to be staying in budget, but you have to help these animals cross safely. In order to know that, we need to know first about which animals and how do they usually migrate in this system. So for this, we have these little transparencies. So if you want, we can take the chips out here. All right. And now, you can help me putting the chips, the colored chips, on the colored maps. So here's a bunch of other, the black ones, just turn them around. They have each their color. So this is a low-tech, non-digital simulation of migration patterns of animals. So if we put these chips on their respective spot, and then we overlay the maps, we'll actually see how these 4 animals travel together or not with each other. So the green animal is a mule deer, and the yellow animal is a mountain lion. Why do you think they travel with each other?
Eats the other.
The one eats the other, right? It's a prey-predator relationship. So probably the mule deer traveled this way, and so the mountain lions followed, because this is the same with bobcat and kit fox. They have also a prey-predator relationship, so that's why their territory is kind of overlapping. You see here also the territory, so the mule deer and the mountain lions are more on the right side. The kit fox and bobcat are more on the left side, although the bobcat has probably the largest of this territory. They travel mostly through that. So we do that as a simulation to learn science. We could, of course, send kids out for days and with clickers and watch animals crossing. That would be taking too much time, and it's probably not providing that much data. So we simulate that here, that we know kind of that pattern. So when we separate these maps out, we have usually kids. The next thing our students do in elementary school, they actually look at each mile level. So they bring the animals down to the mile level to get like an average. Of course, in third grade we don't talk necessarily average, because this is not necessarily yet in their vocabulary, math vocabulary. But we talk about in any given mile, how many of these animals cross. Why is it necessary? Why do we actually need to know that?
See where to build the tunnels or the...
That's right. I mean, we need to know these data, like where do they actually travel. So the first mile recording is a distribution map, and it uses math. The second one uses a different math representation. So in this case, we look at mile 1, and then there's actually a bit of a distribution graph once it's filled out. So kids would actually color that in, would fill it out. So this is where that sandwich metaphor comes in again. You know, it's an engineering problem. We learn science, migration patterns and highway crossings, and then we do math in it to represent and help us actually understand. What we're doing in 15-20 minutes is actually a 4 times 1 hour instructional unit for kids in this survey. So now we gotta go back into how do we actually construct these culverts. So there's different ways of building tunnels. They can be long tunnels that are wide, or short tunnels that are shorter tunnels that are narrower. So we have here a little bit of construction paper. So why don't you make one of the tunnels that is there? So either the long one or a short one. The short one is best to just fold it in half, but you make the long one, that's perfectly fine. I'll make a short one, and I can decide if I want to make it wider or if I want to make it smaller. This is another mathematical representation where we do fair testing, where we say, if you look through your culvert, how many circles do you see?
Oh,
all
so
of
it goes
them?
beyond the...
No, that's all right. So
like
people,
maybe 10.
Oh,
our students would record
10 or
then
11.
a long tunnel with a wider area. You can actually see quite a bit, right?
Right.
So if you take mine in a shorter one, do you still see all
Yeah.
of them? Yeah.
So
Let's make them narrower, both of them narrower, and see what different results you might come up with.
I didn't know that.
So how many circles do you see? What do you see?
7 inches.
7 inches, okay, that would be 7 inches is right out here, so we see still quite a bit. So if you take the shorter one and make it a little bit narrower, I didn't make it narrow yet. I took this in only in paper. Yeah? What do you see?
5.
5?
6.
5
Yeah.
inches? So kids learn in an experiential way, kind of, you know. When it's wider, I see more. If it's shorter, I actually see a little bit. I don't see as much as a long one if I'm staying far away. So we can deal with different distances, etc. So this is a good way to do testing this in a science way. So there's interesting tidbits about facts about this. When you have a prey going through a tunnel, the prey wants to make sure when I come on the other side that I'm not getting pounced. So they need to be wide for the prey, because they're not running through if they think the mountain lion is hitting on the other side. Now, an animal that is very small doesn't like big tunnels because they don't want to be seen, right? They want to just sneak by. In a big tunnel, when you're running as a small animal, you're very visible. So we need to consider that, and now we could start a design process. But before we do the design process of going into this space and saying where do I want my tunnels and fences, this is third grade, so kids don't know necessarily fractions. We said one of the criteria is 2/3 of one animal, 1/3 of another. So now we have an entire session where we just talk about fractions. What is fascinating, we tested that in around 20 classrooms. I've taught that probably in 40 other classrooms. It's interesting when it's being taught at the end of third grade that a lot of times the teacher says, okay, we did fractions, let's calculate 2/3 of 9 or 1/3 of 12. And it's fascinating to see kids raising their hand and saying like, I don't know how to do that. The teacher gets frustrated, like, didn't I teach fractions to you? And one of my favorite answers was, I really liked when a student said, yeah, but now I do. Right? Before I didn't, when you taught me fractions, I didn't really had a way of needing it. Now I actually need it. So we will let them calculate that, and then they go into the design of the simulator. So you can make fences with tape. So this is green tape, and you would wrap it around 2 of these black pipes or whatever you want to call them. You wrap them and make a fence. Now, if you look here, you see all the openings, right? All of these things are open. So in order to close a tunnel, you would put a little black block on there, and you stuff it in there, and that would mean this is now not a tunnel anymore, right? We had a requirement only 5 tunnels can be open, so you need to close a couple to stay within budget.
Okay.
Now the idea is, where would you put, if you remember the distribution map, like on the left are a lot of animals, on the right are a lot of animals, where do you think you want to put tunnels, and where do you want to put fences, and where do you want to close off stuff?
Close off the middle.
Okay.
I think.
All right.
Because there would be like 2.
There's not much animals traveling through the middle, right? Yes. Yeah.
So they would still be able to go through A, B, C,
Yeah.
or mile 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So it might be closed off. 5. And 4.
Yeah. We have more over here in the back. More of these.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, under the white paper, you have more tunnel closers if you want to use some. Here we go. One more. Yeah, so you're actually doing just what our third graders do. They're looking back at where's the population. That's like where you check your science. You know where your animals are traveling.
Can you have how many?
You can have a total of 5. We didn't do the whole
Okay.
budget thing, but there's actually each culvert costs you money, a small culvert costs you less money. And now, if you want to make a couple fences, where would you make the fences? In the beginning, we actually asked students to stay in the bottom 2 rows, just to compare their results a little bit better. Once they've done this once, they can actually make fences all over the place. But in the beginning, we asked them to make fences at the bottom part.
So you want to guide them away, they'll naturally go away from here once they see this is closed.
They might,
Yeah.
yes.
Or would you want to?
If you don't have a tunnel, that means if they come here, the chances of getting hit in a highway is larger, right?
Okay.
So you might want to
Oh,
steer them
right,
away.
right. So you're saying steer them away from here.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So yeah.
yeah.
There.
You can make them a little bit tighter, just so. Yeah. Big of a cut. All right. You can also make fences that cross like 2. But when they come here, they don't go through. They go like this way. So you can
Okay,
actually
okay.
make a fence this
Guide
way.
them.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So you can see the concept was what kids work on, you know, and each kid, they get a planning sheet, they can fill it first out, and then we have these boards and they can actually test and calculate how much is left over. So now we could make a couple of runs. Now the interesting thing is we want the blue, the green, the yellow and the red, we want to run them where they actually naturally start. So for example, the yellow started F, G, and H. So you would have to take the yellow chip and start it at F, G, and H and see, you can use these chips and see how they go. So you would actually run, let's say we run the F, G, and H. Oops. We leave them flat on there so they actually drop like this, yep. Okay, so the mountain line 1 didn't really make it. It wanted to go through there. This one jumped over, right? It didn't end up on the pattern. But this is maybe something scared him and run over, so it's a little bit, you know, animals don't behave how you think they behave. So they ended up going through. And this one, yeah, it came out of us, the red one was still stuck in there. So, so 2/3 of your mountain line actually crossed safely, right? So this, we would continue this with all of them and then say, how well have you done in your design? And if you didn't do well in your design, maybe go back and rethink where you put your fences and where you open up the tunnels. And so at the end, they would actually write a reflection part. So this is that lesson in a nutshell. So any questions, anything you see?
I think it's great. I love the concepts and the kids get to experiment and have fun with it. It's colorful and the overlaying of the different animals. It's really great to be able to see. Did the kids understand the mathematics? I mean, you spend a lot of time on the fractions. Do they get it after they said 2 out of 3?
Yeah, we did testing, and they actually, kids who use this compared to other ways of teaching fractions, they actually do statistically significant better in their fraction understanding. Because they use it, right? They first calculate how many have to survive, and then they literally take out, at the end of their run, they take out all their chips, they put them down, they calculate again how many of the animals survived, and then they look at their fraction sheet again and say calculate how much actually have survived or not. So there's a bit of, it's more memorable for them, that's one thing. You know, you don't have 4 hours in a city. And sometimes when you come back and you have to just worksheets, kids like, oh, okay, fractions, okay, yeah, we did that like last time. In this case, they actually remembered the story, they remembered how much they worked, they put out their worksheets. You only need a quick reminder for them where we are, and then you just continue. It's actually, and we did little videos before of kids, and they showed it at parent-teacher night. They had like the board up, and their parents were running the simulation. They asked their parents to put the fences in tunnels. So they're talking really professionally about what they did. And, yeah. All right. Very good.
Cool.
Yes.
What did you charge for the fencing material?
They're all. So let's see what the budget is. So there's this is the student book that comes with it. So they read about the different animals and their travel patterns. Let's see. We have a budget of, might be in the teacher guide.
196.
Yeah, the budget was a total of 196. Let's see here.
Hardest question?
The medium culvert is $26,000. The large culvert is $46,000. And a fence right now is $1,000. So we tested out different things. If you want, like, you need culverts to be open, so that eats a lot of your budget, and then you have like maybe 10 grand to play with fences. But there is not a single solution to that, right? It's not like you're driving. I mean, the budget calculation is clearly a single solution. You add up your stuff and you either in budget or not. But the rest is really about, you can find many different designs and many different results of them. So, but yeah, they're actually getting, the budget discussion is an interesting I had some teachers who actually every time they want to come up and test it, he charges them for testing. Because